Hello, everyone. This is Jeff Risdon from Lions Wire and Detroit Lions podcast. I am doing a little bit of a mailbag today. We're doing it outside because it's nice. I'm actually on vacation with my family up here at Boyne Mountain. But I do a little bit of mailbag, though, because as much as I enjoy being up here, I miss being with the Lions, and I miss y'all, too. So y'all send me some questions, some great questions from the Detroit Lions podcast Slack Patreon channel. Just $5 a month gets you in. It's the smartest and most intelligent Lions chat on the internet. Check it out. It's easy to get in. It's great. It's also Bears-free, which is kind of nice this time of year, except when we're ripping on the Bears. But anyways, let's get back to some of the questions. So I put the questions out the other day. By the way, it is Thursday afternoon. I have not been at practice since Saturday, so everything that I'm getting since then is a little bit behind. So this is based more on the camp observations anyways, are based more on what I saw while I was there last week. But there's some questions that don't necessarily deal with specific training camp. So, in fact, we're going to have one of those first. This is from Mr. Lava. There was a lot of post-draft and OTA hype for Malcolm Rodriguez, linebacker, 6th-round pick for the Lions. I know you had a problem with Nakobe Dean in large part because of his size, and Malcolm is about the same size. That's true. Malcolm's a little bit sturdier, though, but I'll continue. With the Penasini retirement and the lack of block eaters up front, do you think Malcolm gets any real defensive snaps barring injury to someone else? Or do you think they like him enough to actually see the field and perform well? I do think that Malcolm is going to play. Malcolm Rodriguez is going to get some reps. They are trying to give him more reps this week. Since the pads came on, he's shown even better than he did last week when there was just shells and helmets. He's a very instinctive player. He's a very quick, smart, high football IQ guy. He's not long. He's not big. He's 5'11", 230. I think he told us he was playing at 228. That is bigger than Nakobe Dean, who was 5'11" and maybe 218. Actually, I heard that he played at 218 at Georgia last year. And you certainly look at Rodriguez and you don't see any lack of muscle or sturdiness. And you did see that with Nakobe Dean. He was built like a basketball player, not like a football player. Rodriguez is built like a football player or a wrestler, which he also happened to be. So I don't think that it's necessarily that size. He does struggle some getting off blocks because of his lack of length. There's some issues that he's had with tackling where he just can't wrap, especially around thicker guys. Think guys like Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb, the bigger running backs like that give him trouble because he can't get his arms like all the way around them and have enough leverage to drop it. So there's limitations with him, but he's certainly going to play. And in this linebacking core, where they're looking for the two best players that they can get on the field at all times, he is threatening to be that already. That's very impressive for a rookie. So I'm pretty happy with what I've seen from Malcolm Rodriguez, and I know the Lions are too. Next question. This came up quite a bit. Tyrell Crosby. Tyrell Crosby came out and talked to Dave Burkett this week, and I got this question like 4 different times, so I'll just do it in general. He basically said that he was mistreated by the Lions at the end of his time in Detroit, which was he suffered a training camp injury last year. There's a lot of people who want to know what's up with it. He leveled some accusations against Campbell and the Lions organization for not necessarily handling the injury right, pushing him to be out there when he's injured. I'll say this. There's not one other player, not one, you've heard anything like this from. And to reflect back to the last question where we brought up John Penasini retiring, the Lions gave Penasini all sorts of leverage and latitude to deal with the shoulder problems that he had. He had calcium deposits on his shoulders. They tried to make it work. They gave him time off. They covered whatever he needed to have done. He decided it was too much. Crosby, look, back injuries, I never want to say the back injuries aren't serious, but let's just say that there were a lot of people that thought he could have done a little bit more than what he did in trying to, alert the Lions that he was actually injured. That's primarily where you're going to and Dan Campbell diffused this nicely, but when it was going on, there were a lot of people who wondered how hurt he really was because he never said anything about it until it was too late. And then the other thing is that this was a guy, they drafted Penei Sewell to be his direct replacement. He wasn't going to win the swing tackle job either, even though he was, everybody thought he was, myself included. In the world where Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes and the coaching staff all like to talk about people being cut from the same cloth, Tyrell Crosby is not cut from that cloth. He is a different pattern and doesn't necessarily fit in with that. And I think this is his way of sort of lashing out at the organization. The fact that he's injured sucks because I do think he can still play. And the Lions, maybe they did mishandle it. They did fire their trainer after all, after this happened and before the season last year. I do not know if that's related to it, but it's not hard to put one and one together there. Look, Tyrell was a good guy when he was here. He was a good draft pick. Wound up working out well at his time. I think he was an average right tackle. But Penei Sewell's a lot better, and based on what the Lions saw last year, even before he got hurt, Tyrell wasn't going to be around. That's just the deal that it was. So I think it's some sour grapes on a player's part. I don't want to diminish the fact that he's hurt because I would love to see him get another chance somewhere else because I do think that he deserves that. He's a guy that I liked, and I hope he can play somewhere else. But not looking good with the back injuries and the extent of the damage that he described. But some of that's on him, unfortunately. Let's go back to this one. Anand, my guy, asked me a bunch of them. Let's get a couple of them here. All right. Do you think the Lions carry Austin Siebert and Corey Patterson between the 53 and the practice squad, with the winner staying as the active roster and the loser being on the practice squad? Now that COVID is mostly in the rearview mirror, fingers crossed. Yes, I will cross my fingers on COVID being gone. Or do either of them have trade value? They don't have trade value. Kickers are a dime a dozen, and they are literally on the deflated side of dimes here. Look, the winner is going to keep the job. I don't think they're going to keep the loser around, in part because I think Jack Fox can handle kickoff duties if they need him to. He has kicked. It's not pretty from what I understand, being even extra points, but he has some capability there. I don't expect them to keep more than one kicker around. I mean, not even on the practice squad. Maybe they will, but that would kind of surprise me. It's just in jest. So this is an inside joke, but he says, "Why do you hate Chase Lucas so much?" And he says it is a joke, kinda. And it is kind of a joke. It's kind of a running bit because I never project him or I never talk about him when we're doing the podcast on Wednesday nights when I'm with Chris. We just don't bring him up. And that's more of an oversight on my part. There's nothing against him. He's played well. He looked good as the second team slot corner last week before the pads came on. He looked pretty good. He was better in the slot than Mike Hughes was. I'll give him that. In terms of coverage and spatial awareness, he had a better feel for the position than Hughes did. I think he's going to make the team. I think he's working his way into being that backup slot corner who can also play a lot on special teams. He's been out there in all sorts of special teams drills, and I think that's where you're going to see him a lot. That slot corner job, by the way, A.J. Parker, Jeff Okudah are fighting for it. The Okudah thing, by the way, is my theory, but it was backed up by somebody who would be in position to know that. And the people who were at the party would know who that would be. Our training camp party last Saturday night, by the way. Thanks, everybody, for coming out. That was awesome. Had a really good time. Thanks to Jerry Jacobs for coming out. It was great to see him. Micro Mike, Dan Miller, Justin Rogers came out. It was a fantastic time. Please check it out on the YouTube channel. And also like and subscribe to that channel so you know when we're going live and you know when things like this are coming out. So I think Lucas is going to make the team. I think he's had a very good camp. He is a interesting player. He's old. He's older than Jeff Okudah and Jerry Jacobs, which is, interesting. Jeff Okudah's entering his third season. He's a lower upside player with a high floor that I think, and that's the sort of backup utility defensive back that they can use. And I know that they like his tackling. I haven't seen it yet, but I know that they like that in the draft process. So he's got that going for him. One other one here from Anand. He said, is there a chance that Jerry Jacobs doesn't make the final 53? Speaking of Jerry is still injured, by the way. He hasn't been activated yet. I think he's safe. Based on my conversations with him, my conversations with members of the coaching staff, I think Jerry is very safe. I think he is going to be, just because he's missing camp, he's going to be the number 4 outside corner, but he will also play on special teams. They are cross-training him. He told us this at the training camp party. They are cross-training him inside. He can play safety in a pinch. He is the best tackling defensive back on the team. He's got that going, and that includes the safeties, by the way. So I think he's safe, unless he's really truly injured. And just looking at him, just talking to him, I think he's ready to go. I think if the season were starting now, I think he'd be capable of playing. So that's my thought on Jerry. We got a good one. Let me find it here in the actual chat. I got a different one first. Sorry. This is from Jordan. Jordan wants to know if the Lions will carry both Logan Stenberg and Tommy Kramer into this season. And also, do Kevin Jarvis or Ryan McCollum have a snowball's chance? I will say this. All three of those guys, Tommy Kramer, Kevin Jarvis, Ryan McCollum, are ahead of Logan Stenberg. He is going to be the easiest cut of all the veterans that get cut. It's just not there for him. They've tried him at tackle as the reserve swing tackle. It ain't happening, guys. I'm sorry. Jarvis is unlikely to stick around. I think Tommy Kramer is safely on. I think he's a roster lock. I would be very surprised if he's on the bubble. He can play center. He can play guard. They have tried him at right tackle in a pinch. Not so great, but I think he's absolutely safe. And Ryan McCollum, again, can play all three of the interior spots. They like what they saw from him last year. They liked his attitude when he got beat on a play, the fact that he fought back, and the fact that he was so zealous about making it right. That is being cut from the Dan Campbell Lions cloth that they want. So I think Ryan McCollum is safe, too. And I would expect Kevin Jarvis on the practice squad. Zane Obaid from Ferris State. No, my Gliac guys are looking for a keeper. I hope he makes the practice squad. Again, this is a guy, he needs development, and he's overaged. It wouldn't surprise me if they let him go, quite frankly. But if he makes the practice squad, that's great. I'd be perfectly fine with seeing that, too. All right, what do we got here? I'm going through, and I should have ordered these better. All right. Oh, this is a good one. This is from Grant. Grant wants to know, you're the GM of the 33rd expansion team and have a choice between an all-pro all-pro linebacker or an all-pro running back. Who do you choose and why? I will take the Derrick Henry, the Nick Chubb, the Alvin Kamara, the LaDainian Tomlinson, because I was talking about him earlier today with somebody else. Give me that guy over a linebacker. Linebackers are, to me, the least valuable position on the field, and I agree with the Lions in devaluing it. Doesn't mean you can get away with Alex Anzalone and Derek Barnes being what they are, but if I have an all-pro running back, a guy who can catch passes out of the backfield, a guy who can consistently get you to 2nd and 3 from 1st and 10, or pick you up 3rd and 5, you give him the ball and he gets it, that's a hell of a lot more valuable to me than any linebacker could be at any position. And speaking strictly, again, linebacker to me means off-ball linebacker, middle linebacker, not pass rusher, not what Micah Parsons is doing, not what Clay Matthews did in Green Bay. That's not a linebacker position. That is an edge position. So I gotta be clear on that. But I would take. See, Henry's got a lot of miles on him, so I probably wouldn't take him. Jonathan Taylor certainly is interesting. He's probably near the top, but I'll show my Cleveland bias. I'm taking Nick Chubb. That guy's unbelievable. Best runner in the league when you give him the ball. He can catch too, and he can also pass protect like a beast. So give me Nick Chubb on that. This is from Jalen, and he posted this in the general Slack channel, which is fine. I usually do DMs, but the way Jalen did it is fine because he phrased it in the right way. I remember last year you said that Goff was worse than advertised in training camp reports from the beat, which includes myself. Do you think he's been more accurately assessed this year? That's a good question because I think that in general, the media throng in Detroit is more receptive to what Jared Goff is. Look, you're going to have to cut us a little bit of slack, too, in the media. We were used to Matthew Stafford throwing the ball the way Matthew Stafford does and making high degree of difficulty throws on the norm. That's what makes Matthew Stafford Matthew Stafford. That's why he's good, is because he will take those chances. Jared Goff is not that kind of guy. And for those of us who've covered Stafford for a long time, we've seen the Lions for a long time, it was difficult to adjust to a guy who, I remember one play very well. There was Tyrell Williams was running a skinny post, and the safety was closing. And it's a throw that we've seen Stafford make it 100 times. He used to make it to Marvin Jones all the time. And Goff looked away from it because he was worried that the safety would close on it. He was worried that he couldn't thread that needle, and he checked down off of it. And we saw a lot of that earlier in the season. I will say that this year, I think that the coverage has been more realistic expectations of what Jared Goff is, and I think that has helped shape a more realistic view of what Jared Goff is. He was probably never as bad as we collectively, again, raising my hand here, made him out to be, but he also wasn't good. He is better this year. Without a doubt, he is more confident in his receivers and his weaponry, and that has produced a better Jared Goff so far. And I think that's the general consensus of what you're seeing. We're not hearing, oh, Tim Boyle's going to take his job. Ooh. Yeah, no. By the way, anybody who ever said that to you, they're drunk or high and not worth listening to because that's just not happening. By the way, I know that this isn't a question for the mailbag, but it gets asked a lot. Why are they keeping 3 quarterbacks? That's a dang good question. That's a question I will ask when I am back in Allen Park on Monday. If there's any thought to just letting it ride with Tim Boyle or David Blau. And by the way, I think it would be Tim Boyle who gets that backup job. And let the third ride on the practice squad, whether it's David Blau going down or you bring in anybody, any functional camp arm to be on your practice squad in case of emergency. I would not have a problem with that. It would allow them to keep 6 wide receivers and 6 cornerbacks or a 5th linebacker or a 5th or 6th defensive tackle. There are different ways that you can shuffle that roster. We're going to get to the roster composition on the podcast next week. There's a myriad of different ways to go for it, but that would save a spot that I think could be used better elsewhere. But I do not think the Lions see it that way. I think they are hell-bent on keeping 3 for whatever reason. I don't agree with it either, but that is what it is, man. There's 2 questions that both sort of dealt with the same topic, and it's Quintez Cephus. One of them was how injured was he actually, because he did go down earlier this week with a knee injury. I was not there. My podcast partner, Chris, it happened right in front of him, and he talked about that it looked like it was a knee. We've heard that it's not serious and isn't something that will keep him out for a long time. Remember, this is a guy that's had a lot of injuries over time. He missed 12 games last year with a broken collarbone. He missed some time his rookie season. He missed time at Wisconsin. He missed time in high school while he was injured. It's a problem for him. Some of that is a function of the way he plays. Now, this one clearly wasn't. If it's a non-contact knee injury or a thing where he's going up one-on-one with a CUDA, like those happen. But when you are 6'1", 205 pounds, and you play like you are 6'5", 250, that's going to catch up with you. It's tough to be durable when you're that sort of a wide receiver and you're built the way he is. Guys, he is not a big guy. He's not. I know there's this thing that people think that he's Kenny Galladay. He's 6'1" and 205 pounds. He's not he's smaller than Marvin Jones. He is not that kind of guy. Like you see him standing next to Josh Reynolds. Josh Reynolds towers over him. DJ Chark towers over him. So the other question was is Cephus on the bubble or is he safe? I think before he was injury, I think he was clearly safe. I think he was clearly the number 6 wide receiver. And we'll go down. It's Chark. It's Amon-Ra, Josh Reynolds, Khalif Raymond. I think Jameson Williams, when he comes back, slides into that mix. And then you're getting to the world of Quintez Cephus. And he was battling it out with some other guys. I think he was safely that guy. Now, if Jameson Williams goes on IR, if he starts the season on PUP, which is still my guess of what's going to happen, again, that's just my guess, then I think Cephus is on as long as he can get back and play in one of the final preseason games. If not, look, he's not big. He's easily and handily the slowest wide receiver. He is a good blocker, but there are other guys that block just as well. And I'll say pound for pound, Khalif Raymond is a better blocker than Quintez Cephus is. So, he's still on the bubble. The injury did not help him. I think I'm going to wrap that. I got to go make some dinner for a bunch of people here that are looking at me hungrily. Thanks again for tuning in. This is a mailbag. Again, if you want to get into the next mailbag, I will do one after the second preseason game that will relate to camp battles, roster battles, things like that. Get in on the Detroit Lions podcast, Patreon Slack channel. There's directions on how to sign up on the Detroit Lions podcast page. Hopefully you already go there. If not, check that out and keep checking out Lions Wire. We got a lot of content coming up covering camp. I will be back at camp next week. I will be at the first 2 preseason games down in Indianapolis as well for the joint practices with the Colts down there. I look forward to seeing everybody then, and until then, take care.